Time now for one full hour of nitro-fueled NHRA talk. It's the Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. Now, here are your hosts, Marty Hough and 10-time NHRA winner, Doug Herbert.
This is the Straight Line on drag racing. Thanks for being here for our 1 hour of horsepower, a jam-packed show today. Gators Nationals winners Brittany Force and Greg Anderson will be here, and we'll chat with one of the greatest crew chiefs of all time, Ray Evernham. Yes, that Ray Evernham. We'll talk dragsters. The burnout is complete, and we're set to launch another edition of the Straight Line. Thanks for being with us here today. Coast to coast, around the world, you are listening and watching the Straight Line here on MRN.com, along with four-time IHRA Top Fuel champion and 10-time national event winner Doug Herbert. I am Marty Hough, getting ready for Las Vegas coming up. And Doug, this is we're starting to get into a part of the schedule where things change a little bit as far as tuners are concerned. Las Vegas especially, it's not Denver for sure. I mean, nothing is Denver. But once we get to Las Vegas, conditions change.
Right, it's high desert. It's hard to make horsepower in Denver. Density altitude is high. Depending on the sun conditions, the track can be slick, and they've got those tunnels going underneath the track. So the track generally, and they do a pretty good job, Speedway Motorsports, of taking care of that and trying to repair, but there's a bump in that track. It's like a jump. You go down there, and there's one about 300 feet down the track and one about half track where you have to drive over those. Doesn't seem to affect the dragsters as much as it does the funny cars and the pro stock cars, but it's something to consider. The high altitude fuel cars don't seem to get bothered too much by that. We can make up for that with supercharger, compression, timing, stuff like that, where the pro stock cars, they've got something that they haven't dealt with necessarily in their new EFI setup. So there's probably going to be something to look at there. Of course, in pro stock, KB Racing guys between Greg Anderson and Jason Lyon have won all the races this year. So they've got something figured out, and Vegas is the hometown for Ken Black, their team owner. So I'm thinking that they're going to be hard to beat. I told you this after Winter Nationals. I said it's going to take a while for everybody to catch them. Yeah. And Greg and Jason are not going to stop working. Like those guys work really hard. Yeah. And so they've got that advantage. They're going to work really hard to try and keep at least a little bit of an advantage. So everybody else is going to have to work twice as hard to try and catch up. And I just don't know if you can work twice as hard as those guys.
Right. And considering that things are going to be really different this weekend, as you mentioned, we're going to a place that is really different because of the altitude, because the air is a lot drier. It's a lot different tune-up. But now you're talking about a brand new EFI system that people are just trying to figure out. Now you throw that whole combination in there, and man, that could throw, not just a curveball, but a screwball.
Right.
To a lot
Greg
of these
Anderson
pros.
already has, he's won 3 times at Vegas, so they've got some experience there. The John Force team, Robert Height, has won there 3 times. I think Force has won there 3 times. So that's a little bit between, maybe Jimmy Prock and, and Zippy. So they've got the Force guys, I say, would have to be, they're going to continue to have a really good year, I would say. Are they going to win the race? Who knows? Schumacher, at some point, those guys are going to get their act together because they didn't forget how to race. It's just they're having a little bit of, they're a little bit down. They're going to figure that out, and it's only a matter of time when they're going to come back and start hitting their stride. So Top Fuel and Funny Car, not sure, what they're going to hit. We're going to have Crampton on here a little bit later from Morgan Lucas. Aaron Brooks has a tune-up that works well at Vegas. So they would be, Vegas could be a dark horse race. It might not necessarily be, Schumacher or whatever. It might be a first-time guy or somebody that doesn't win every week to go in there because going fast at Vegas is a little bit different. It just is.
And remember, Brittany Force has been in 2 straight finals. Not only did she win the Gator Nationals, but she was also in the finals at Phoenix. So they've really kind of got that tune-up.
Well, and Alan Johnson, as a crew chief, knows how to win at Las Vegas because he's won at Las Vegas with I don't even know how many drivers, but with Selzy, Schumacher, on down the line.
Yeah.
So Alan Johnson knows how to tune a car and make it run good at Vegas as well.
Yeah, and no question about that. A little bit later on, we'll also talk to one of the greatest crew chiefs, as we were talking just before the show. One of the greatest crew chiefs of all time will join us, and it's Ray Evernham. Of course, from NASCAR fame. He is also the host of the TV show Americana on Velocity. Last week's show was really, really interesting and had to do with a dragster. And we'll talk to him a little bit later on. I know we saw some of the previews of a front-engine dragster that actually went to England as kind of a learning tool for the people in Europe.
Well, and Ray's a big drag racing fan. Ray's a friend of mine. I've been friends with Ray for quite some time. We've worked together on that land speed car that we're working on at lsrproject.com. People could go there and check it out. But Ray's a neat guy, and Ray loves drag racing. On the wall of his shop up in Mooresville, North Carolina, he's got a front-engine dragster hanging up there. He's got one of Gene Snow's old Fuel Funny cars from the 70s. So Ray's a pretty big drag racing fan.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to hear what Ray has to say about his trip to England to hunt down this dragster that went over there and a little bit of the story behind it. But that show, Ray's show, Americana on Velocity Channel, neat deal. Anybody, if you have a chance to tune into it, you know, Ray's a pretty interesting guy, and Ray knows a lot about a lot of things. So, you know, pretty neat to tune into that show and listen to what Ray has to say, because he does some research, and I think Rick Hendrick has some involvement with the show. There's a lot of neat people that are involved with that show. So tune in, check it out.
Yeah, if you're if you're a fan of cars, if you're watching the show, you're probably a fan of cars just in general. I would highly recommend tuning in to Velocity for that show. Some sad news to report, and obviously if you're watching this show, you're probably aware of the fact that chief starter for the NHRA, Mark Lyle, passed away this weekend on vacation in Mexico. Just a tragic story, and Mark Lyle, one of the nicest guys that you will ever meet anywhere, and especially in NHRA. And I know, Doug, that you'd had the opportunity to talk to him quite a few times, and just a high character guy.
Well, everyone that's been a starter at the National Hot Rod Association. I mean, you have Buster Couch, did that for a long time. You know, Rick Stewart, and then Lyles took over. So, I mean, there's only 3 people that have had that job in a long period of time. And those guys were like the referees, you know, they're like the heavyweight fighter referees. You know, they didn't necessarily start maybe all the sportsman cars, although they have done that. Mm-hmm. I mean, but they know a little bit about everybody's staging techniques, about everybody's routine, and they kind of run the race from the starting line. And that's you know, he's going to be missed, that's for sure. And I've heard stories about what happened to him, and apparently he's somewhat of a hero going out trying to help and save somebody else, which cost him his own life. So we'll keep everybody posted as that comes out. But, yeah, a loss to our sport, a loss to the National Hot Rod Association, and a loss to all the competitors with races like the 4-wide coming up, where the starter is a pretty crucial person at the 4-wide, because there's twice as many things going on at the starting line. So, God bless Rick. God bless Lyle.
Yep. Division 6 starter Mike Giddings will be the interim NHRA crew chief or crew chief starter for this weekend's event at Las Vegas. Mark Lyle was 60 years old. More of the Straight Line coming up.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. We'll have more right after this.
O'Reilly. If you do-it-yourselfers are looking for the right tool for the job, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale. You'll find a wide selection of Power Torque tools on sale now and guaranteed for life. Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale going on now at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Steve Letarte for STP. As a former crew chief, I know about winning and what it takes to keep your engine performing at its best. That's why I recommend STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner. STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner is STP's most advanced fuel additive. It's been formulated to help remove harmful deposits from intake valves and restore fuel injector performance. For more than 60 years, STP products have proven themselves mile after mile. Take it from me, if you want to go with the winner, go with STP. In for the long haul.
Race fans, you know there's nothing like the power, excitement, and sounds of NASCAR. Ever wonder what it would be like to strap yourself in the seat of an authentic NASCAR race car? You can do it at the Richard Petty Driving Experience. Ride along or drive yourself at one of 15 tracks nationwide. Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit online at drivepetty.com. Richard Petty Driving Experience. It's authentic NASCAR entertainment. Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit drivepetty.com to reserve your experience.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. Now, back to Marty Hough and Doug Herbert.
Big weekend last weekend at the Gator Nationals, a first-time winner in the top fuel ranks, and she is joining us right now on the telephone line. She is the driver of the Monster Energy Top Fuel Dragster for John Force Racing. Brittany Force joins us. Brittany, thanks for the time. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on your first win.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, it's been over a week, and I still, I still can't get over it. It's pretty unreal. I mean, I've been chasing it, for quite a few years, so it was a big accomplishment to be able to bring that home for all of John Force Racing, and I'm so ready to get back to the track in Vegas now.
Well, Brittany, runner-up there the week before in Phoenix, so, you kind of were right there, and you've been right there a few times, and then to bring it home at Gainesville, one of the biggest races of the year, your dad obviously has had a lot of success there. That's a good one. Not that anyone is a bad one, but that's a really good one.
Yeah, right?
I know, it really is a special one, just because, I remember going there as a kid watching my dad race, and it was just one that we have lots of friends there and family there, so it's kind of everybody comes out for it. So it's really special for, my whole family. It's been that way for so many years. So to be able to do it there, Gainesville is a huge one. You can see it just by when you pull up to the racetrack, just the crowds of people that race pulls in. It's insane how many people it brings in. So it was pretty exciting, to do it at the Gator National.
All those campers. And what about the boiled peanuts? Did you ever stop and get any boiled peanuts on the way driving in there?
No, I didn't.
No. Oh, man, you're missing. You got to get the boiled peanuts from the campground.
I've missed out.
Brittany, were you more relieved or excited after the win?
I was more excited, I would say.
Okay.
I wouldn't say relieved because, obviously my first season I came out here, I definitely thought we'd bring our first win home, my rookie season. And then, we came close to it, but then it was the second season, the third season, and, it was a lot tougher than I thought. But I think that makes it feel that much greater, that it took that much time. It wasn't just, you jumped in the car, went out there, and won a race like it was nothing, because it's not easy. It is difficult, and it takes so many people to make it work, and everyone has to be perfectly on point every step of the way, to even give yourself a chance to, make it to the winner's circle. So it was huge. Like I said, I still can't get over it.
Well, a lot of changes at not only on your team, but John Force Racing, you leading the points, the funny cars, and first, third, and fifth in the points. Alan Johnson's made a difference, your new crew chief, Brian. So tell us a little bit about the changes and what that took you as a driver to get up to speed driving the car and the differences driving the car and your procedures.
I know, it was really overwhelming. I got up on stage with Alan Reinhardt after the win, and he announced, "You're number one in the points. You're in the tracks to shootout." And I was like, oh my gosh, slow down. I'm just trying to wrap my head around that I won a race, and now you're throwing I didn't even think about the tracks to shootout, which that was obviously really exciting. I didn't even think where we're in the points. It was just bringing home that first win. That was the biggest deal to me. And, it did take us time to get here, and we did make a lot of changes coming into this season. This is my fourth season driving the top fuel car. Obviously, we came on with Monster Energy last year, which has been awesome. And Alan Johnson also came on board, and Brian Houston as my crew chief. So a lot of changes for me. I sat down with both Alan and Brian, and we definitely changed up my routine that I've been doing for the last 4 years, and made a lot of changes, not just to the car, but, me as a driver as well, but it seems to all kind of work together. I know it's it's still, I have a lot to learn and a long road ahead of me, but, I'm game for it, so.
Yeah, Alan said that when he first got in contact with you, that you didn't really necessarily talk nuts and bolts. He was talking more about to you about the mental aspects and how you were preparing for the season.
Yeah, we actually, the first time, he actually emailed me. I knew, things were changing. I had heard his name quite a few times and, knew there was going to be some big changes in our pit. And he began emailing me and, asked if he could send me a list of questions. He just wanted to get to know me and, the way, how I handle everything at the racetrack, what my daily routine is, what my workout routine is, just everything from start to finish. And so I wrote him, we went back and forth with emails, answering each other's questions. And I told him, I'm always open. It is hard to change your ways once you get set in the routine. But I told him if it's going to make me a better driver, I'm open to change anything. I'm open to try anything new. Tell me what to do. And, I'm your driver now. I'm teamed up with you guys. So, I'm willing to work at whatever you want me to do. And we did make quite a few changes. I mean, I definitely think you could see it in, Pomona. Just wasn't completely there yet. I still don't feel like I'm completely 100% comfortable because when you get used to something for so long and then you go ahead and change that routine, it just feels off. You don't feel completely 100% confident that you could, do the best job that you can when everything's a little different. So, some drivers could, maybe change things and jump right back in, but with the experience that I have, it does take me a little bit more time to, completely change everything and start over, which I kind of felt like I had to do, but it's all for the better. We also made a lot of changes in my seat, which that takes a lot of getting used to. When I first climbed in it, when we were testing in Phoenix, I thought, oh my gosh, we made way too many changes. There's no way I'm going to be able to drive this thing. And it just takes me time. We made 11 passes that weekend testing in Phoenix, and I needed every single one of those 11 runs just to get me to feel, back to myself again, comfortable in the car. So, yeah, definitely a lot of changes, but I think they'll definitely be for the better. But, it's last weekend was awesome, but I think I still have a lot to learn, a lot to get used to, but I think we're definitely going in the right direction. I mean, a win I still can't get over it. It's awesome, but we want more.
Well, of course, yeah. Once you win, you want more. And the way that your car's running, the way that your team is doing right now, that's obviously going to happen more as the year goes on. I think it's like we almost were expecting that win to come from you last year because your car was running really good at most of the season last year. I mean, you guys were good.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was going to happen last year, but it just, I guess it makes you fight and want it that much more. Having to wait a little bit longer. But
tell us about doubling up.
What's really the crazy thing about it all is at the end of the day, when I went in and was doing media stuff, Elin had said it was my 75th race, which I went ahead and did the math in my head because I've been out here for so many years and did the math in my head, and he said my dad won his first race on his 75th race.
How about that?
I thought that's impossible because this is my 4th year. And he always said forever. It took him 10 years to get his first one. Every time I go in the final round, lose in the final round, don't worry about it. It took me 10 years to win. You're way ahead of me. And that's not even possible. But back then, they didn't race, 24 events like we did. They only raced, 6 or 7, 8 races. And I thought that was pretty special that we shared that. Our first wins both came at our 75th race.
That is super cool. And so between your dad and Alan Johnson, you've got some pretty good wisdom to fall back on there. So congratulations on winning Gainesville. Awesome. Good luck. Yeah, you betcha. And good luck this weekend coming up in Las Vegas. Alan Johnson knows how to get to the winner's circle there, so you're ready for a back-to-back maybe.
Thank you so much. That's definitely what we're going for.
Thanks, Brittany. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Driver of the Monster Energy Tough Fuel Dragster for John Force Racing. That is Brittany Force and winner of the Gator Nationals. When we come back, another winner at the Gator Nationals and heading back to his owner's home track at Las Vegas. Greg Anderson will join us next.
This is The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. More right after this.
Oh, oh, O'Reilly.
Improve visibility and save $8 instantly when you replace your worn wiper blades with a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get premium blades that ensure clear vision in any weather and save $8 instantly on a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Looking for a great spot for an affordable beach vacation or the perfect romantic retreat? Let the Plaza Resort and Spa help. A vacation on the world's most famous beach is sure to help you reconnect with the ones you love. Discover the grand tradition of hospitality and service on Daytona Beach. The Plaza Resort and Spa is the perfect choice for any type of getaway. Book online at plazaresortandspa.com or call 1-855-DB-PLAZA. That's 1-855-327-5292.
At Victory Junction, it's simple. We believe every child, no matter their diagnosis or disability, deserves the chance to just be a kid. So we provide a medically safe environment where children who live in a world of hospital stays and doctor's visits are free to do everything from riding horses, ziplining, swimming, fishing, and bowling, all at no cost to the camper. The experience inspires confidence, builds self-esteem, and changes the life of every child who comes here. Help us change a child's life at victoryjunction.org.
It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. Now here's more with Marty Hough and Doug Herbert.
Appreciate you being here on MRN.com. It is The Straight Line, and joining us on the telephone line right now is the winner of the Gator Nationals a couple weeks ago and heading to his boss's home track at Las Vegas, driver of the Summit Racing Equipment Chevy Camaro. Greg Anderson joins us. Thanks for being with us, champ. Appreciate your time.
You bet. Thanks for having me on, guys.
How is that? You guys are just whooping him this year, buddy. I mean, you came out of the gate. You've had to really, for pro stock terms, you've had a huge advantage over the field, and they're not catching you yet.
Yeah, it's been unreal, Doug, and just saying a quick little prayer that we can hang on to that advantage for one more week. Got a big money weekend coming up in Las Vegas with the K&N Shootout and the Denso Nationals this weekend. And, you know, this racetrack for the last 2-3 years has kind of been dominated by Team Elite, so fully expect a turnaround from them, fully expect them to close the gap and be tough this weekend. So it won't be easy, but we're going to come down swinging. We've had another good week of testing and dynoing, and hopefully we can show up and still have a slight advantage when we get there.
Well, you've got 4 wins in that K&N Horsepower Challenge and several wins at that race. So obviously you know something about winning there in Las Vegas, and then also the home to Ken Black, the team owner for your KB Racing team and Summit Racing. So that it's always kind of got to feel good to go there. I mean, other than Charlotte, that's kind of your home track, I guess, right?
It does feel great to go there, you know, with Ken there and everything. Doesn't get to travel that much anymore. So he's, you know, he looks forward to those 2 races every year, and that track's been awful good to us, but like I said, for the last 2 years, it's kind of been Team Elite track. So, I've had a lot of success in the K&N Challenge, had a lot of success at that racetrack, but I've had to sit out the last 2 K&N shootouts. I had a little bit of heart work done one year and just flat didn't run good enough the next year to qualify for it. So, it's been a couple-year drought for me, not even being able to do it and race. So, I'm extra excited this year to come back and come in as the number 1 seed. I've got a great car, obviously, and got a great chance, I think, to find my way back to the winner's circle. So it should be fun.
Greg, everybody has a different strategy on these races inside of a race, so to speak, because you're still trying to qualify for the national event, but you're also competing in an extra event. What is the strategy for you going into this? Because obviously there's 50 large on the line.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, that 50 large is the biggest payday we race for all year.
Right.
So we treat it special, and then we look forward to that. And hopefully you do your job on Friday and make a couple of good runs on Friday where you get yourself qualified, and then you can go have some fun on Saturday. It's the best thing about it. It's a lot of money, and there's no points to worry about. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to stress about it. You don't have to worry about, making a round worth of points or losing 20 points, 40 points to somebody else. It's just cash on the line, and that's always been a motivator for us. And, I look forward to that race every year. And as I said, it's been a couple-year drought not being able to participate. So I'm extra jacked going back this year. I finally get to come back and playing it and hopefully represent K&N well. They do great for the class of pro stock. They're a great supporter of it, and it's been a great race for a lot of years. It's a beautiful trophy they hand out. It's just all around a neat deal. You get to stand there and hand the keys to a brand-new Toyota pickup truck to a lucky fan that wins. So whole thing is just really cool.
Hey, Greg, tell us about the final round over here at Gainesville and how bad you must have felt to beat Jason on a hole shot.
I probably should feel bad, shouldn't I?
Yeah, poor guy.
I'm guessing not.
Yeah, that one probably stung a little bit, but I've had it done to me too, so I know how it works. That's drag racing, and I did kind of steal one from him there, so I chuckle a little bit about it, but I'm sure he'll get the last laugh, so I better not make it too public that it was, I chuckled about it.
Well, you guys work awful hard over there. I've been over and visited with you at the shop, and you guys have a really tough and strong work ethic that I think is probably some of what is bringing you the advantage that you have over the field now. How are these other guys? What are they going to do to be able to try and catch up to you? They can't work any harder than you guys are going to do. So what are you going to keep, or what do you do and keep doing to try and maintain that edge that you have right now?
Well, that's exactly what you do, Doug. You come home every day, every morning. You get in as soon as you can, and you work as many hours as you can, and you try to keep going forward. You try to keep that edge. It's a lot of fun to race when you have an edge like that, and it hasn't happened in pro stock for a few years. So it's a neat feeling. It's really cool, and it just adds the fun back into racing when you can show up and have the fastest car on the ground. So when we come home from a race, whether we win or not, get back to work because we want to find a way to keep that edge. The other guys, they're not liking it. I guarantee you they're not happy. They're not liking it. I know how it is to get whooped. You want to go home and you want to work harder. So I guarantee you they're working as hard as they can. And this gap will go away. We're not crazy enough to think that we'll have this forever. This gap will go away. It may be one race more. It may be two races, maybe 5 races. We don't know. It may end this weekend. But, as long as you've got it, you got to enjoy it. You got to try and keep it as long as you can.
Me and Doug were talking in the Open about how Las Vegas is a little bit different racetrack because of the altitude and it's a little bit drier air up there. Now with this new EFI system, and obviously you're not going to let any secrets out, but I'm guessing that you've probably had to sharpen your pencil a little bit to try to figure out how to make these cars go fast in different conditions.
Yeah, we're very curious to see what happens here. Obviously, this is going to be by far the extreme of what we've seen this year on conditions. You've got a dry, high altitude track that you just flat don't make a lot of power at with these pro stock cars. And I think years gone back, the last year's setup and year before, you're running basically 660 at maybe 208, 209.
Yeah.
Well, obviously this year with the new combination, you're going to be a little slower. So you're going to be close to 670. So it's going to feel kind of weird and they'll feel a little bit anemic. But the bottom line is, no matter what the ET, you have to find a way to run better than the next guy there. And we don't know what's going to happen. We've had 3 or 4 races in a row that have been very close weather-wise, and the cars have pretty much run the same in the first 3 races. This race will be different. It'll be probably a tenth of a second slower. And
wow.
It may make some cars that haven't shined so far this year shine. So hopefully it makes ours fall right back where they've been and run good. But I expect some cars will fall into it. It'll help them just because of the altitude change.
Hey, Greg, we talked after Pomona about the partial throttle situation, doing a burnout and stuff like that. Have you guys and the rest of the Pro Stock guys figured anything out with the EFI and the throttle position sensors and all that stuff to make that something that's better?
We're definitely getting better at it, Doug. I'm still not going to say we look like, we've been doing it for years. We still look like kind of amateurs out there, but we're getting better. It's not as embarrassing as it was the first 2 races. So each race will get a little bit better. The more time we spend with it, the more you learn. It's a learning curve every day, a very steep one. And, yes, it's definitely getting better at the park throttle part and obviously wide open throttle. So it's interesting, and I'm really curious to see what happens when we bounce to an altitude track like this. Are they going to fall off as much as they have at sea level like we've been racing, or is it going to be a bigger fall? So interesting weekend coming up.
Well, and besides Vegas coming up, we're looking forward to you and your son coming out and golfing with us on April 21st before the 4-wide race. So you guys always come out and make us look bad. You hit that golf.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're such a good golfer because I know how hard you work. You don't have much time to golf, but you're pretty darn good golfer, too. And your son, especially.
I take tips from my son.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, we're looking forward to that. And thanks for coming out and supporting.
You bet. I can't wait for it, Doug. I enjoy it every year. Obviously, a fantastic cause you got there. It's just a blast every year. Look forward to it every year.
That is awesome. Well, Greg, congratulations. Winner of the Gator Nationals and the KB Summit Racing Chevy Camaro. Great job. Good luck this weekend going out there to Las Vegas.
Thanks, boys. We'll go to Vegas, see if we can cash in.
Greg Anderson, driver of the Summit Racing Equipment Chevy Camaro. When we return, we will talk to the defending winner of the Top Fuel class at Las Vegas, Richie Crampton. Will join us next.
It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. We'll have more right after this.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
I'm Steve Letarte for STP. As a former crew chief, I know about winning and what it takes to keep your engine performing at its best. That's why I recommend STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner. STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner is STP's most advanced fuel additive. It's been formulated to help remove harmful deposits from intake valves and restore fuel injector performance. For more than 60 years, STP products have proven themselves mile after mile. Take it from me, if you want to go with the winner, go with STP. In for the long haul.
Ready to take the training wheels off your race scanner? Go to fanvision.com and upgrade your experience with FanVision. Not only will you be able to hear the race,
Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets a good run, drafting help from Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. Jr. again pulls up alongside for the race lead.
you'll see every moment through live video, instant replays, live stats, and more.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, driver of the #1 McDonald Chevrolet, and I never go to the track without my FanVision. So go to fanvision.com to rent or buy yours today.
Welcome back to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. Here's more with Marty Hough and Doug Herbert.
Big thanks to Brittany Force and Greg Anderson for joining us on The Straight Line. And we're getting out of this show, and then you're headed on a plane for Seattle brakes class.
Going to Seattle. Yeah, so we're a little bit before the NHRA guys are there at Pacific Raceways, but we'll be looking forward to going out there. Seattle, Washington area. Anybody any of our listeners in the Washington, Seattle, Tacoma area, you've got a teenage driver, go to putonthebrakes.org, check it out, and sign them up. Bring them out this weekend. I'll be there. Would love to see you, and what they will learn can be something that'll save their life. So hopefully we're looking forward to a great weekend out there. Always fun going to Seattle. Great seafood, fun area, great scenery.
Yeah.
So we're really looking forward to going out to Seattle, and Pacific Raceways, and everybody out there has been super.
And Pacific Raceways, just a fantastic facility for a brake school, because there's a ton of room out there, and you can do whatever you need. Set up all the cones and
Pacific Raceway is one of the tracks where they do a lot of things there, right? There's bicycle motocross, there's motorcycle, motocross, superbike type things. There's road racing.
Yep.
I think they've ran Indy cars there. I mean, they've, of course, drag racing. I mean, there's a lot of racing. It's a neat racing facility, and these huge trees around. You've got Mount Rainier in the background. Seattle should probably be on everybody's bucket list. Like, if you're a drag race fan, you want to hit all the drag races, Seattle's probably one that you for sure got to have on that list.
Yeah, my first national event was going up to Pacific Raceways and doing that, and and just absolutely amazed of the nitro cars, and that's where I fell in love with drag racing, was at Pacific Raceways. My first drag racing experience at Woodburn Drag Strip in Oregon, in still a regional track in NHRA, but it was Pacific Raceways. That was my first national event. It's really, really cool facility up there.
Well, a lot of the Northwest guys are, longtime Seattle guys. It was, Al Swindle and McCulloch was always big up there, and all the West Coast, Gary Beck, all the West Coast kind of heavy hitter guys, that was their place. I mean, back in the old days, just like Force was talking about a little bit ago, there was only 8 national events. It was Pomona, and Seattle was one that kind of came on and off, but Gainesville, Indy, there's a few that were around for a long time. Columbus was around for a long time, National Trail, but back in the day, I mean, they. That was their big deal that they looked forward to. Let's go to Seattle. SIR back in the day was SIR, right? And, funny cars, Sunday, and all that stuff.
Yeah, and they had a big Top Fuel event, their match race, I'm not mistaken, it was 64 Top Fuel cars at one point. I mean, it was just a huge match race event up there.
It was Jerry Ruth and Lee Beard. I mean, all these guys. They're Northwest guys.
Gordy Bonin.
Gordy Bonin.
He's from Canada, but from just right up the road. Gordy Bonin was was a regular there.
Yeah.
But
they love racing
place.
in the Northwest.
No,
well, and there's so many things going on there. Seafair Nationals, the unlimited hydroplanes. That if you've never seen an unlimited hydroplane race, that is really fun. Don't miss that. We love drag racing, but unlimited hydroplanes are pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is. Some of the other places that you're headed to here shortly for breaks.
Oh gosh, we're going so many places. We've got a San Francisco date, Alameda Naval Base coming up here in just a few weeks. We've got some spots open for that. So if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, we're coming there. We're coming your way. Southern California, we've got a bunch of stuff coming up. LA County Fairgrounds, California Speedway in Irwindale, San Diego Qualcomm Stadium. We're going to San Diego. We're going to Orange County Fairgrounds, the Orange County area. So we've got a lot going on the West Coast. On the East Coast, we've got Bradenton, Florida coming up. We've got Englishtown, New Jersey coming up. We've got Minneapolis, Minnesota coming up.
Really?
We're going back to Minneapolis. Oh, Minnesota, don't you know?
We're
going back there. We've got Tennessee schools coming up. A lot of Raleigh. We do Raleigh. We work a lot with the North Carolina State Troopers, and we do a lot of stuff there with them at their base in Raleigh. So a lot of stuff going on. If you've got a teen driver, don't. It sounds like you hear us talk about it every week, but it is a super deal. Teenagers that come through the program are 64% less likely to be involved in a crash. There's a lot of reasons to go and really no reason to not go. Just 4 hours, cut it out of your schedule, bring your kid out, and have a good time with them.
Free program, folks. And it's the golf tournament that you'll be putting on just before the 4-wide nationals. That everybody's having fun, but it's also a fundraiser, and that's one of the things that you need to do from time to time because this is a free program.
Right, the program's free, and it's not free at the end of the day. We've got to come up with the money somewhere. So we do things like the golf tournament. We do fundraisers. We do our gala in September. We do pancake breakfast out at the races here at ZMAX.
Yep.
We're not going to have a pancake breakfast this year at the spring race. We are going to have one at the fall race, probably be at the Schumacher pit area again. But this spring race, we're not going to have one. So come to the golf tournament. We've got, Junior Johnson coming out with moonshine tasting. We've got Jim and Nick's barbecue and PDQ chicken and, pucker butt hot sauce. I mean, the list is long, so it's a really, really fun day. If anybody is, if you're a golfer, if you want to come and volunteer, we're looking for volunteers as well. So Thursday, April 21st, over here in Concord at Rocky River, call the brakes officer. Go to putonthebrakes.org for more info on that.
And just a ton of racers, too many to mention right here. But if you just want star power, just show up and you're just going to see racer after racer, both from the NHRA side, NASCAR drivers coming out. It's going to be a ball. So April 21st.
So supportive, yeah. This morning, actually last night and this morning, I went to a charity fundraiser for Jeff Hammond. Jeff Hammond has a it's called Christian Athletic group, basically, and then it's a Christian group for not only racing but baseball, football. There was Panther players and so many athletes out there at Jeff's golf tournament this morning. Really good turnout, and raise some money for a neat cause. I had no idea how big that organization is. It's a big worldwide organization, so really neat. Jeff Hammond, super guy, has helped us out with brakes quite a lot and been a great supporter. And
MC at the gala quite a few times.
Yeah, he and John Roberts are awesome, helping us for the last few years there. So Jeff Hammond, neat guy, and happy to be able to support some of his charity work too.
Yeah, and no question about it. When we return, we're going to talk about a really cool TV program. Americana is on the Velocity channel, and last week's show with the host, Ray Evernham, a very, very cool story about a front-engine dragster that went across the pond to England back in the 60s for a little baptism for the Europeans in drag racing. When we return, we'll talk to Ray Evernham about that dragster and about that show, and that's coming up next.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. We'll have more right after this.
O'Reilly.
If you do-it-yourselfers are looking for the right tool for the job, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale. You'll find a wide selection of Power Torque tools on sale now and guaranteed for life. Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale going on now at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Race cars are finally tuned for maximum performance. Freightliner trucks are too, taking into account all the factors that drive your profitability and lower your real cost of ownership. Efficient aerodynamic designs paired with the integrated Detroit powertrain maximizes fuel efficiency, uptime, quality, connectivity, and safety to give truckers peace of mind and a better return on investment. Find out how to lower your real cost of ownership at rco.freightlinertrucks.com.
Hey, it's me, Kansas Speedway, and I'm sorry. Sorry for the barehanded slap of adrenaline and the burnt rubber aftertaste. Sorry other tailgates will seem lame. Yeah, real sorry about that.
It's the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series GoBowling.com 400. Saturday night, May 7th, Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah. Sorry, Mom.
Tickets at KansasSpeedway.com.
You're welcome.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. Now, back to Marty Hough and Doug Herbert.
If you are a fan of cars, if you're watching this show right now, you're probably a fan of cars. And if you've not seen the Americana show on Velocity, you are missing out. Highly recommend it. And joining us on the telephone line right now is the host of that show, Ray Evernham, joins us. Ray, thanks for your time. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
Always good to talk to you, Ray. And, hey, the show, I like the show. Watching that show is so neat every week. You've always got neat stories. You've got neat cars on there. Tell us a little bit, obviously this is a drag racing show, right? So tell us a little bit about your show with the drag racing and going over to England and a little bit about the story there behind that whole thing.
Well, that particular show was it was really about Bob Keith and the U.S. drag race team. And in Americana, we just try and find cars and stories that really document kind of America's timeline, what are significant historical facts that we want people of all levels of the car hobby to be watching the show and go, wow, I didn't know that. And we happened to be doing a show up in Manassas, Virginia on some Ford Flathead parts, and I stumbled across an old dragster, and I looked at it and thought to myself, man, that thing is just too cool. It's not a local car. We ended up making an offer on it and bringing it home and found out that, somebody had been looking for it for 40 years, and it was actually the Goodnight Keith and Williams AA gas dragster that was the first U.S. dragster ever to make a pass in England. And we reunited it with the original crew and the original driver, and we were working really hard to try and get it back on track so Bob Keith the driver could drive it one more time. And he unfortunately passed away during the restoration. So very emotional show, but we were able to take the car back to Famoso Speedway and do the hot rod reunion and pay tribute to Bob and have the car restored by the original guys. Tommy Ivo built the chassis. He was on the show with us, and it was all because Bob Keith, reading Hot Rod magazine, wrote a letter to Sidney Allard, and before you know it, he gets involved in the NHRA going over there. Wally Parks invites him. He doesn't even have a car. He doesn't get a car and motor. They put it together and take it over there. And again, what an incredible story. Not only did they run, they ran in the rain.
That is
wow. That's funny. I went to Japan and raced back in the 90s, and we went over there, and it was like we had a certain time to run, and it rained. And so the promoter said, hey, Doug, will you run the car in the rain? I go, well, we can't hit the throttle, but at least I can, kind of blip it down and everybody can smell a little bit of nitro. And that was what we did, ran in the rain. But when you're on a schedule like that, that's what you have to do, right? I mean, there's no second chance.
Yeah, it was, again, a cool story. Doug, I love all forms of hot rodding, racing, drag racing, some of the, Prudhomme, obviously one of my heroes. Like he's my idol. We always tell him, he's a legend, and we're trying to all be like legends in training. We follow him around to all these things that we go to like a bunch of kids. But just really the just the roots that trace back to the hot rodding in Bonneville and, Doug stuff, just amazing stuff that your dad did, and guys like Ed Pink and people like that, just to be able to be around those guys and listen to the stories and now finding some of their original parts and pieces, it's just amazing.
That is super cool. And that's what a lot of our viewers, listeners probably don't realize is that you're a car fan, a racing fan. Over at your shop, you've got a front engine dragster hanging on the wall. I know you've got one of Gene Snow's old fuel funny cars from back in the 70s. There's a lot of, you're a car guy. It's not just a NASCAR guy.
Oh yeah, it's I've got Indy cars, NASCAR, stock cars, road race cars, sprint cars, dirt cars. I've got way too many cars. I'm a caraholic. I tell my kids every day, okay, Daddy's spending your inheritance, but it'll be okay. Just hang on to this stuff for a while. It's just I love it. And the thing I love about race cars and hot rods being so unique is that each of them have their own separate story. Hey, I've got some muscle cars too, and I get the people that collect Corvettes and muscle cars. All that stuff's great, but individual race cars and hot rods have such their own unique personality. I just really find them amazing.
Ray, we're showing some clips on our streaming show from the show that we were talking about. It looks like you were having way too much fun sitting in that thing and actually getting pushed up and down the drag strip with that. It looked like everybody was having a really good time, but especially you just getting into the seat of that thing and to be able to show that off at the drag strip.
I'll tell you what, I can't imagine driving one of those cars. I mean, because that had clutch, brake. You had to do all these different things, and you're sitting up with your legs over the rear end. The motor's in front of you with this big blower, and they're shooting fire up. I'll tell you what was even more amazing than sitting in the Bob Keith dragster. The fuel cars were there, and they have this thing called the Cackle Fest, and they fire up these fuel cars. Well, this guy that's got the Varmint, it's a top fuel old front engine dragster. He says, go ahead and hop in there and you can fire it up. I get in there and the thing fires up, and it's a big blower in front of you, much bigger than the Bob Keith gas car. But so the thing's on alcohol, and I've driven alcohol cars and sprint cars, and you're like, yeah, okay, a lot of rate. And he goes, okay, now they switch from alcohol to nitro, and I have never felt anything like that in my life. All of a sudden, it was like bazookas were going off out of the exhaust. This thing is vibrating. My eyes are.
And you wonder why I like top fuel cars, Ray. I mean, geez.
I was smiling like a joker. I can't imagine, Doug. I cannot imagine what that feels like when they put the nitro to that thing. It was the most incredible thing I have ever felt in the seat of any. I've driven sprint cars, right?
Yeah.
I've never felt anything like that. All I wanted to do was just step on the gas and go down the track one time.
Yeah, right? No kidding. Tell us about the kids. We were just talking, but we know you've got a new daughter, Erin. Erin and you had a baby not long ago, and then, of course, Ray J's our buddy. Tell us about the kids and how things are going at home.
They're doing really, really well. Of course, me, everything happens for a reason, and in life with Ray J is an amazing young man on the autism spectrum, and has had just an amazing life. A cancer survivor, and has fought a lot of things. And when his mom and I got divorced, everything still was good, and then got married to Erin, who was younger than I, and never really thought about different things. We were told the possibilities of having children were far and few in between, and boy, don't you know, about Christmas last year or a year before, we got a little surprise, and it's been amazing. And I truly believe that God gives us things for a reason. And with Kate, who is 8 months old now, and Ray J, who will be 25 in July, it's brought our family so much closer together, and it's given me an opportunity to see and do a lot of the things that I missed with Ray J, because between him being in and out of hospitals and the fact that at that time I was a NASCAR crew chief and on the road 180 to 200 days a year, I really had no idea how much I missed. Now I'm getting to share that again with both of them.
And Ray J, he sure seems excited about it. I'm buddies with him on Facebook, and he shows pictures, and looks like he's having as good of a time as anyone with his new little sister too.
Yeah, it's as I said, it is just it's an amazing, it's an amazing thing how connected they can be, even though they're so far apart, and exactly what that is. So again, thank God every day that that we got that surprise, and it gives me motivation to make sure I keep myself healthy and moving along, so I can make sure that when she gets to be about 16, I can still chase those boys away.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I know everybody. Her boyfriends are going to be scared of you because I know you're into boxing, man. You've got the boxing ring and the boxing gloves and all that. I wouldn't want to get in a boxing ring with you.
Yeah, well, I don't know. But you got to figure years from now they probably won't be that intimidated. So I'm hoping that the size of her big brother and some of the other guys, that her cousins or whatever. Plus, I think she's going to be pretty popular with the boys anyway, because I think she'll have some cool cars to play with.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'm thinking. Speaking of which, Americana, how did you get involved in this show in the first place? This is a fairly new show, started last year. What was or how did you get started with it?
Well, actually, this is our third season. So
third season.
So we've been on for 3 years on the Velocity Channel, and truthfully, you travel the road and you meet a lot of great people with a lot of great stories. And I love the car shows and things on Velocity, and I thought, I should start bringing a camera with me as I'm finding some of these things, like the Marty Robbins car and this old moonshine car.
Yeah.
And you bump into these people and you go, God, I wish I would have taped that, because I'll never see that guy again. So we just started doing that, and I went to Bob Scanlon, who's the GM of Velocity, and I said, hey, Bob, I got this stuff. I'm going to produce it. I want to make it into the show. Are you guys interested? And he got behind me and went to work to help us get put on the air. And again, it's more of a labor of love. Obviously, Mr. Hendrick and I don't really make a lot of money on it, but it's something that Mr. Hendrick, Rick Hendrick, who is my partner, loves to do it. He's a real car guy, and he gets to do something outside of NASCAR and show some of his other loves. And so we find these cars and things, go out, and my goal is to come back and have you watch something just like if I were your buddy and I was coming back telling you this really cool car or this really cool car story, but yet I had video to show it. So it just came about from me wanting to tell people about some of the cars that I've seen and people that I've met, and then to as we're restoring some of these race cars, to really document those things and tell that story.
Well, that is cool. And we've got another cool car that you and I have been working on for a while, that Bonneville car. We're going to run that thing before we're as old as Burt Monroe. I promise you, we're going to run that car.
I hope there's some salt left. They got to get the big companies to stop stealing the ash out from under there. That's one of the things that all of us hot rodders are going to have to really get behind and get up there and get on the people in Washington about saving that natural resource. Unfortunately, the hot rodders haven't been able to race out there in a couple of years, and it's really a shame. We got to make sure, Doug, that the big money doesn't come in and ruin that place, because Bonneville has such an unbelievable heritage in racing. As a matter of fact, we got a show coming up. I think tomorrow night we actually have the show with Joe Bonamassa, the incredible blues guitarist.
Yeah.
But the week after that, we have the Woody Lee, a car that we found that went 133 at Bonneville in 1952. And then we found it not restored, did not restore it, so put it together like it was and tried to take and see if we could make it go that fast. Really cool show. So
wow.
Bonneville is a huge, huge part of what we do.
And Doug, for people that don't know, explain the land speed car that you were involved with Ray.
My dad and I started this project back in 2008. And Ray helped with his engineering, and Ray, obviously he's a car guy. He's got a lot of experience in this kind of thing, and so we really were making a lot of progress on the car. And then my father passed away, different things happened. Ray's dad passed away, and I think a little bit of the enthusiasm kind of died down on it, and economies tanked, and so many other things happened at the same time. But we're working on the car, so Ray's going to be out there. I've told him I would build a seat so he could drive it, and he's like, Isn't that right, Ray? Or did you change your mind?
Aaron is dying to drive that thing.
Oh,
so
wow.
We may have a pilot, and
nice.
and if anybody's listening, tell them, Doug, we would gladly take any sponsorship.
That's right.
That thing.
That's right. So far, it's just been Ray and Doug spending money on the car. But it is a neat car. Website is lsrproject.com, so somebody could go there and check it out. But it's an engineering masterpiece, and Ray, a lot of stuff from my dad on there. Eric Warren worked with us on it a lot. Pancho Weaver has done a lot, most of the fabricating. It's really an engineering masterpiece, wouldn't you say, Ray?
It's a pretty cool car, yeah. Eric Warren, who is now, I think, the lead engineer or competition director up at Childress, was with me for many years. And Eric is just amazing, PhD in aerodynamics. And the guys that actually designed the body on that car for Doug and I and did all the CFD runs. And, you know, it's a really cool car. But those guys actually designed missiles for the government. So I was like, look, hey, you know, if you shoot a missile over one thing, we're just going to shoot this guy across the salt. So go ahead and build like a missile.
So I'm like Wile E. Coyote. That's what I am. Ray's got me like Wile E. Coyote. Oh man, it is going to be fun.
Ray, for people that want to tune in to Americana, when does it run and where can they find it?
We're on the Velocity channel. It's part of the Discovery Network, and we're at 9 Eastern on Thursday nights, 8 Central. And we air tomorrow night with a really, really great show. But Thursday nights, Velocity channel, 9 Eastern.
And also the website, is there a website the people can go there and check it out and check out some of the past shows and
oh yeah, you can go to Velocity or go to iTunes. You know, we're on iTunes now, but if you go to Velocity's website, you know, we're on that, and you can get the shows on iTunes.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Ray, thanks for your time. We really appreciate it, and a great story, a great show, totally. And the one with the Bob Keith dragster was fantastic. But thanks for your time. We really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Great. Take care, guys.
We need to go to lunch sometime, Ray.
Absolutely.
Okay, see ya.
Ray Evernham, one of the greatest crew chiefs of all time in NASCAR, and now you can find him on the Velocity channel with Americana. Just a fantastic show, and it's amazing. He was talking about just finding these cars and wishing that he had a camera to help him out and share those stories. Now he really does, because that's what he does on the show. I mean, they're ripping into barns and getting the tarps off some of these old cars, and they're going, whoa, check this out, and then restoring them or doing whatever they do with them.
Well, and Ray's got a lot of leads. Obviously, Rick Hendrick has a lot of leads, and they've got the resources and the reason to go chase them down now and tell the story about these cars and the race teams and the guys that were involved. And back in 1950, whatever, it wasn't as easy building a race car back then as it is now. The stories that Vic Edelbrock came to my shop, I don't know, a couple years ago, and was telling me a story about watching my dad race back in the early 50s. And he goes, man, your dad, my dad was in a wheelchair. He had polio. Yeah. He was, he goes, your dad was amazing. He climbed on the ground and welded a rod bolt into a rod because the thing was coming apart. So there was, it's just amazing hearing the stories of these guys. You wouldn't consider doing what they did now. You just wouldn't. Nobody would do it. You would think it was impossible. But that was what they did. Yeah. They had no book to go. They had nowhere to go buy parts. They had to make everything that they had or go to a surplus or whatever.
Yeah. And a lot of cool stories like that on Americana, not only for Ray Evernham, but Rick Hendrick as well. Big thanks to everybody for joining us here on the Straight Line today. Greg Anderson, who's heading out to Las Vegas and competing in the K&N Horsepower Challenge, winner at the Gator Nationals. Also, Brittany Force for joining us, as well as Ray Evernham. So for everybody involved, including Robbie Mays, Daryl Smith, and for Doug, I'm Marty. We will talk to you next week right here on the Straight Line.
You've been listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. Tune in again next Thursday at noon Eastern on MotorRacingNetwork.com and the MRN app. The Straight Line is also available on demand at the MRN.com Media Center, or you can download it through iTunes or Stitcher. The Straight Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.